Trapper Nelson's site. You have to take a boat tour, it says.
Yeah.
We do those every day. Our last one was at 11 o'clock.
At 11 o'clock.
Yeah, it has to be high tide. So tomorrow it's going to be 9 and 11.
How much is it?
32.
Hurdles.
Okay.
They don't do military or any type of discount. We're on the pontoon boat to go to Trapper Nelson's site. So as you can see, there's the boat. There's our captain. You get here 10 minutes before, as far as after you bought the tickets. And then about, what, 5 till anywhere from 8 minutes to 5 minutes before he lets you load. So the mangroves came in 1966. That's when they dredged the inlet. And now this is salt water. And then it goes to brackish water.
Native Seminole natives, and it means river of turtles. There's a lot of turtles in this river. We'll probably see a few, I hope. You never know what you're going to see up there.
These are cool. So before
So, enough about mangroves.
the mangroves came in, it was all cypress, pines, and other trees.
Palms.
And palms.
And we'll see some pine trees. Yellow pine, you're going to pay a pretty good price for it, probably along with oak or something like that.
So these pines, they call them day
They call
county
them slash
pines.
pines. We used to slash the base over.
They're super hard. They're not soft. You almost have to drill them to even put a nail in it. They used to use them to build houses. They don't anymore. They're really expensive. But it's a super hard pine. You can see these little pots.
Salt water the long way around.
You can see it through there.
Keep the salt water.
Those are
at bay,
blue
really.
coral
Try to keep it from coming up.
crabs. Crab
Comes up
pots.
with every tide now since 1966.
That's about the 5th one that we've seen in the river.
Back in
So
the
those
water.
field grass pots are in there.
Gave animals things to eat, like manatees. Manatees used to be in here pretty heavy because of the amount of eelgrass that was here.
The river's getting narrower as we go up.
So this is further up we go, the more chance you see the alligators. We have them down below. We don't see them as much because the mangrove roots take away the areas they like to lay down and sun themselves. The best time to see the wildlife here is at low tide, super sunny. Things will come out and kind of hang on the edge.
Okay,
There's an alligator right to your left on that stump. Little
oh
baby
yeah,
one.
look at a little baby one. A little baby alligator.
When they're born, they're like 6 to 8 inches long. They grow about an inch a month, foot a year or so.
Spanish moss.
So we're going to be going through an area called the Cut. It means you're going to be really close to the side of the boat. Just make sure you don't get smacked in the face by a branch or something.
This area is, I don't know why we didn't go down the bigger area, but
This is the cut.
The fish that are in here. When you start out, it's jacks, it's snappers, snook, tarpon, saltwater stuff. Drum, a couple drum in there. Saw a red drum the other day. As we get towards the brackish, you start losing some of the snappers. The jacks will go a little bit farther up into the fresh water. But eventually where we end up at Trappers, it's pretty much, the only thing you'll see is some snook up there. And largemouth bass, crappies, bluegills, gars, that kind of thing. They do have mullet the whole way up into there.
Gator.
Gills. And they also say it helps loosen up the roe that's inside their body.
Alligator. There's a gator.
As soon as we pass this leaning tree, we're going to look to your right and you're going to see...
You're about to run over a gator.
We'll talk about the gator now.
He went under. He just went under.
He's been unreliable. He'll stay there all day as long as boats don't get in there and bother him.
There's a turtle.
That is it's a peninsula cooter turtle. They're protected now. That used to be like the main diet for everybody up here. The natives, trappers.
Trapper Nelson's dock.
There's also been a lot of baby alligators right at Trapper's Dock.
Trapper was born in 1908 in Trenton, New Jersey, and is he left there probably around late 1920s when he came of age as a young man, trying to find things to do on his own and looking for opportunities. A number of things happened worldwide, like we have experienced in the last many years ourselves. In that time period, one was World War I, which he was too young for. They had their own great pandemic, like we went through here just a few years ago. And then the Great Depression, and of course that happened when he was a young man just ready to strike out on his own. So it didn't take him long to figure out that to look for opportunities, he'd have to leave the area where he was at because there was nothing going on there for a young man. And he jumped freight trains and traveled as a hobo basically across the land. And he had traveled quite extensively across the U.S. and eventually wound up taking a rail line down here through Jupiter, as the rail line still runs through there. But he got out there and he could see there was some activity in the Jupiter Inlet and decided to check it out. And he never left. So we did that. Anyway, Trapper got off the train there, looked around and found that there were a number of things that he could harvest to maintain his self, and that included, the fish that are in the river and then the different animals that go across the grounds and stuff that are out here yet today. So he didn't have to worry about where his next meal was coming from, so that he stayed. As he set up his camp and things like that, he found there were a couple things that nobody was trapping around here, and he had a little bit of a trapping experience back in Trenton, and as the Delaware River runs through there, and he would trap small fur-bearing animals known as muskrat. They had a small cash value to them too, but that gave him the experience to go after these other critters, and one of them was a raccoon, which I saw one running around here on the grounds this morning. They were very plentiful, but they were only worth about $2.50 a hide. But back then, you got to remember, a loaf of bread was maybe a nickel. So it did have meaning. As you look at some of the other things, like the alligators were extremely plentiful, and for like a 7-footer, he'd be able to pull in about $5 to $7. And the real prize of the river really was the river otter, and that would bring in about $35. So people didn't have any money on him, and he was actually making a little bit. As time went on, he decided to move up there and explore the Loxahatchee, and he got up here. And when he found this line, you can see it rises up nicely away from the river, and he just fell in love with this spot. It was far away from town at that point in time, but this is where he knew he had to be. Just like back down at the inlet, the trapping here was phenomenal and all that kind of stuff. So he soon found out too, though he had money, he basically came here and just squatted on the land, but found out that all this land was going back to the government on back taxes. So he found out that he could buy it for what was owed. And once he got into that mode and found that out, he really got into the buying more and more land. And all the land that he acquired was along the Loxahatchee here. If it didn't touch the river, he didn't want it. So, but he was and I think that's how he got into some of the stuff. This guy was here as a trapper, wanted to be left alone basically, and he had started a friendship with the guy that owned the fish camp in town. The reason he got off the train in the first place, the Du Bois family had a fish camp in town right on the inlet, and he made friends with John Du Bois and the entire family. Mr. Du Bois was also affiliated with the Jupiter Island Club. How people started coming out here was, one, he was going back and forth. He would roll into town and drop off his furs and things like that he would sell, and then pick up supplies. And he would do that by rowing into town here, about 10 miles from here on the river, which was quite an arduous task. So he, as time went on, he kept getting some attraction, and Mr. Du Bois actually asked him at one point, because this affiliation he had with the Jupiter Island Club was a very exclusive club, still out there yesterday, but he was looking for opportunities for those folks to be entertained in some way, shape, or form. But back then, there was nobody around here. There was no entertainment. There was no Disneyland or anything like that. He was asked then by Mr. Dubois if he could bring some of those folks up here to see what he was doing with the trap lines and things of that nature. And he said that they would bring an executive chef along with, and he would have a nice gourmet meal if he had those people come up. So that started happening. Word of mouth got around. More and more people started inquiring about him. He come up with this concept of, well, there's nothing around here for an attraction, and I can't charge anybody for coming here if they're just going to get off their boats on the side of the river and stuff like that, and there's nothing to see. So he come up with this concept of Trapper Nelson Zoo and Jungle Garden. He planted the bamboo here and things like that to give that jungle effect. It also served as a marker along the river. You know, you got to Trapper Nelson's when you got to the bamboo. So. And then he added the cages here, and all the animals that he had here were all from around this, right on these grounds, and that was enough to attract people. He had a little concession area here and stuff like that. That's the background on how we kind of got to that, but you know, his real driving factor in setting this whole thing up to me was that it afforded him another way to make money, to buy more land, and he was really into it. So he accumulated over his lifetime 1,200 acres up here.
The sad part is that by the end, he fell behind on his taxes. So he had to sell some of his land to pay the tax, several hundred acres. His death is still in question.
This is where he came and he stayed if you're here on an excursion.
Look at the fireplace. It's a hidden treasure. It's pretty neat. Don't think it had the flush commode though at that time.
He was hired to actually remove snakes and spiders from a nearby radar training camp school. But then he got drafted.
Well, that radar training school is where Jonathan Dickinson State Park is. There's another cabin over here. It was definitely worth the money because you got to go on the eco. You know, you got to see alligators. We got to see turtles and birds, plant life. Did your thing? No, that wasn't us. And critters along the river, learn all about the river, and then you come here and you get a tour
of this guy's compound.
Yeah, it has it says Hurricane. This is where they bunked if they came to visit. I think that other place was his.
Flush toilet back here.
This is the Hurricane log, 1947. 1948, 1949, and 1962. So it was a category 2, 1, 3, and a 2.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of them that I count.
There was 6 there a minute ago. As the water comes up, they'll move out. 2 of them ran up into the holes.
Yeah, I see one up above. That's cool. You know, Mama's around here somewhere, not too far away.
Yeah, she's been hanging right there at the dock.
I hope that you enjoyed this video, like I said, and if you did, please give us a like. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. And give us some comments on if you've ever been here, or if you ever heard of Nelson. What was his name?
Trapper Nelson.
Trapper Nelson.